What's up, Wastelanders? Hello and welcome to Tapes from the Wastes, a Fallout fan podcast bringing you lore discussions, gameplay talk, news coverage, and all things Fallout. I'm one of your hosts, KDB, and once again, I'm joined live by my co-host via a Discord call. It's Eric, aka Sully. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, great. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year.
Absolutely. This is a bit later than usual than we wanted to do this episode. So we're gonna cover. Originally, we were just going to do like our Nuka World reactions, and we wanted to do it earlier in the month. But now we're at the end of the year. We're recording this on New Year's Eve. There's a bit of behind the scenes for you. We thought we'll do some end of the year summary for Fallout as well. So going to be lots of stuff to cover today. Sorry, it's taken a bit longer than we'd like to get it out. I feel like I'm always apologising for that, but you know. That's just the case, I'm afraid. But here we are. We're doing it. It happens. But yes, before we get to Fallout, let's just talk holiday season, general gameplay. I'm not sure, Eric, how time off works for you over there. Basically, over here, I get like a full week and a day off work. So yeah, just how's your Christmas been? Have you been getting any general gaming time these past couple of weeks? And all that stuff.
Definitely. So with my work, we get 2 days off the week of Christmas and 2 days off the week of New Year. But I actually called in one day this past week, so I only had to work one day.
Fair.
So yeah, I've had a lot of time, and I've told you about this. I don't know how many other people I've told about this, but I got this little emulator machine for Christmas that I can play anything from Atari up until like the PS1 era. N64 is on there, but it doesn't work that well, unfortunately. But I've been playing a lot of that. And then, last night I was up pretty late playing Cyberpunk because I recently hopped into that again. And there's been so much that's been added to Cyberpunk since I beat it. Because I beat it just a few months after it released. Mm-hmm. So they've added so much. It's like, when did they add more player housing options? Oh, this is great. Let me save some money for that. So I've been playing a lot of that. Obviously I've been playing a ton of Fallout lately. That seems to be the only thing I've been playing on my Xbox lately, aside from Cyberpunk yesterday. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of my little emulator machine. I don't know if you ever played WrestleMania, the arcade game.
Oh yeah.
But
only on emulation, actually.
I used to have it on Sega, and I've been actually playing the arcade version of that now, which is fantastic. The only issue is there's no pause button. So if somebody, like my wife, comes over and starts talking to me, she's like, "Can you pause that?" I'm like, "No."
You get your ass beat.
All right, fine. I'll stop, even though I'm on the big Royal Rumble match at the end. And then I've been playing some Game Boy games on there too. Like I played a lot of the Oracle games for The Legend of Zelda, the Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. So I've been playing a lot of Oracle of Seasons and then A Link to the Past. Donkey Kong Country is always a classic. Spyro. What's nice about that is I can play a lot of games that I wanted to play growing up that I didn't have access to before.
Yeah.
E.T. the Extraterrestrial, I wanted to see if it was really that bad. And I couldn't figure out how to get into a pit that I fell into. It's like, I know I've risen out of another pit. How did I do that? There's only two buttons on... Well, actually, I don't even think there were two buttons on Atari. There was just one.
It barely even looks like E.T. It's just like a brown line.
Well, I mean, his neck stretches, too. You can tell that his neck stretches when he's trying to rise up and float, which I don't ever remember him doing that in the movie. But anyway, I couldn't figure out what to do. So yeah, that's been fun. And like I said, I've been playing a lot of Fallout 76 lately. I'm sure we'll get into that here in a bit. I picked up Resident Evil Village over the holidays because Capcom had this huge sale going on. So I also picked up the Raccoon City edition of 2 and 3, the remakes. So I played a lot of 2 a few nights ago. I told you about this. I tried Resident Evil 2. That was the first Resident Evil game I ever played. And in the original, they start you out in that alley by the police station, right next to a zombie. And I was like, all right, that was fun. What's next? So it is. I am appreciating the remake.
Yeah.
Still having inventory issues, but there's a stash box right there in the lobby. So
it's so funny whenever I hear people talk about Resident Evil that don't really play Resident Evil, because I forget how it has these things that like other games don't really have. Like, I've shouted a lot about Signalis this year, which is a indie game which has a very Resident Evil feel about it, and it has super limited inventory, and so many people have played it and gone, I can't deal with just having like 6 slots for items and stuff. And I'm like, that's how I learnt to play games. Like, so it's just like riding a bike for me. But then you forget when people who haven't played it and they're like, this is really difficult to play. So yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I was telling you that I bought the original Resident Evil on my Switch a while back, and that was the issue that I ran into with that. I was like, okay, I can't pick anything up anymore, which means I don't have any more room for ammo. What the hell do I do?
Yeah, it's just a case of trying to, get into the routine of heading back to the stash boxes, which seems like a laborious task, but that was the sort of point of those games. It was supposed to limit you and increase the fear and all that. So yeah, I love it, but it's cool that you're playing it. The remakes are definitely a bit more easier, I suppose, maybe the wrong word to say, than the originals, but
I remember I played it again years later, Resident Evil 2. When I was in college, I had a 64 emulator on my computer, and you had to find typewriter ribbon to be able to save.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find any more. Okay, now what?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to run around killing things that I've already killed just to find typewriter ribbon.
Yeah,
that may or may not be there.
If you died and you hadn't saved, you could lose like an hour of progress, like pretty easily. If you play the remakes on the hardest difficulty, they add that back in. Like, you still have to find the ink ribbons to save. So there's that if you want it. But yeah, it does make it more difficult. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
I think I'm playing on normal. So
yeah, that's advised. I mean, for me, aside, like I say, I've had a bit of time off work. I mentioned to you I have a super bad toothache, which people... So we're going to put the video version of this on YouTube, and people might notice me keep touching my face. I'm not being weird. I have a really bad toothache. I'm highly medicated right now, but I'm dealing with it. So that has been really frustrating. But aside from that, I have been able
no
to get...
somas, right?
I have been able to get some gaming in. So I've mainly been playing a few things, but mainly High on Life, which obviously came to Xbox Game Pass, which is like a fun throwback shooter by the guy that makes Rick and Morty. I'm sure everybody's heard about it. I'm not really I don't really watch Rick and Morty. I've seen it. I've seen clips, and it's kind of funny, but the game definitely, I can tell, has the same sort of humour. Really fun. Also, The Witcher 3... I'm starting from scratch. The next gen or current gen upgrade is here. I picked up, because I no longer owned The Witcher 3. I traded it in years ago. I picked up a really cheap version of the Game of the Year edition before the upgrade arrived, because the upgrade is free. And I thought, okay, great. However, the issue is, because I bought the Game of the Year edition, my save was tied to the standard edition. So I was kind of toying with the idea, shall I do New Game Plus or shall I continue where I left off? But that made the decision for me. So my save was not accessible. I got the new version. And yeah, just starting from scratch, which has been really, really fun.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It kind of sucks because you get to a certain point in the game, like, okay, I put so much time into this, I don't want to have to do all that over again.
I actually think it works in your benefit to have played the game once and then to play it fresh, because that game is, even just like the menu system, there is so much there, And the first time through, it can be a bit overwhelming. So this time, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I know what to do and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm just kind of not breezing through it, but it's definitely a bit more enjoyable and less confusing than the first time I played it. So I'm happy to start from fresh.
There's also multiple endings with that game, and the smallest thing can give you a different ending. I think I mentioned this on Fire Riders podcast when we were both on there, but the Bloody Baron.
Yeah, that's the quest I've just done, actually. Yeah.
Well, after you finish that whole botch lane thing, you can find him later, and he's like, hey, can you help me with this area? And I was like, let me go take care of something first. I'll be right back. Well, that actually killed the quest.
Right.
But yeah, like that is, I mean, it's such an amazing game. I have it digitally, so I beat the main story, and I need to go back at some point and do the DLC because I bought the Ultimate Edition of it, and I think I started Blood and Wine, but I never did. I never really dove into it.
Yeah, no, I've never played the DLCs, and obviously the Game of the Year edition I've got comes with all that, so I have the full package now, and it's a big ask to get through The Witcher, but I'm quite enjoying it. There's not a great deal of other games out right now. Like I said, it's High on Life, but aside from that and The Witcher 3, like, I haven't been playing anything new. Obviously, I've been playing some Fallout 76, and then like I picked up a couple of retro games as well, and that's it. So The Witcher is something that I'm just going to keep playing now, I guess, until, like, looking ahead, 2023 is obviously huge for games. Bethesda alone with Starfield and stuff, but hopefully. Hopefully. So January is the Dead Space remake, which I'm really keen for, and then in March is Resident Evil 4 remake. So that's like 2 big games in the first 3 months of the year that I can't wait for. And then there's loads of games to come, but it's nice. This time of year is always good to get those few extra days off work and just play a bit of gaming. I've been gaming a lot with my kid as well. Like, he's starting to really get the knack for gaming now, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but yes, we have mentioned Fallout 76. This is a Fallout podcast. We are now going to move on to that. So what we're going to start with, so December saw the latest update. End of November, early December, I can't remember exactly. We've got the Nuka World on tour update to 76, which brought a new location, new events, new characters, and things like that. We're just going to kind of cover our thoughts on it. I think we've both had a fair bit of time with Nuka World now, which is good. Mm-hmm. Some very good news, Eric. 2 nights ago, I got Spin the Wheel for the first time.
Oh, finally.
Yeah. I thought we were going to get to this episode without me playing that event, and one evening it was like 2 minutes to 8 p.m, and I thought, I'll just quickly jump on. And as soon as I logged on, it just popped up Spin the Wheel. I was like, yes, thankfully, now I can have some thoughts in it. But why don't you go first? I mean, feel free to sort of start wherever. What's your kind of general reaction to Nuka World? How do you feel about it? Any highlights or lowlights? What's your thoughts?
I thought it's been great. Well, and it's funny because Spin the Wheel was the first one I did. It was actually like the first 2 or 3 events that popped up for me. That was what it was. But I've since done all of them multiple times. I think the one I've done the least is Tunnel of Love. Mm-hmm. I've probably done that maybe 3 or 4 times. But it's been great. I've gotten all the plans in the terminal in the arcade, the Nuka Arcade. They will overload. These events will overload you on food and Nuka-Cola. So I enjoyed the Thirst Zapper. Yep. I changed my ammo to weaponized Nuka-Cola Quantum, which is explosive, and it does, I think, like 300 some damage per shot. So it's crazy. The downside is it takes a second. It only has 1 round per clip, if you want to put it like that. And it takes a minute to reload because you're actually pouring the Nuka-Cola into the squirt gun. But yeah, I think all the characters have been great. All the events have been fun. And the great thing about Spin the Wheel is it's completely randomized what events or what little activities pop up during it. So keeps things interesting. You're not getting the same thing every time where you can do it in your sleep. It took me a while to get the Super Mutant Behemoth event during that quest, which, whew, boy, I am just waiting to be hit by one of those things, and it'll shoot you up into space like the Skyrim giants.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite work like that.
So explain to me then, because I've done. I thought I knew I hadn't done everything. I've done all the events apart from Seismic Activity, where you get the giant mole rat. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, the Behemoth, does that come as part of Spin the Wheel? Then.
Yes, that's part of Spin the Wheel.
Okay,
like,
fine.
There's a boss stage that you'll get.
Yeah.
And you'll either get there's
I got Grafton Monster, I think I got when I did it, yeah.
I've gotten that one a couple of times. You'll get Sheep Squatch, like 3 Sheep Squatch.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
There's more, and I'm blanking on it, but yeah, there usually is a boss stage where it's one of like a few different bosses, like cryptids.
Yeah. So is this the first time a Super Mutant Behemoth has been in 76?
No, you can actually find one. There's a lake that you can come across, because it's actually popped up as a daily challenge or a weekly challenge. Yeah. And I had to Google where one was, and there's one that's typically somewhere in the White Spring Golf Course somewhere, and then there's one in a lake, and I can't remember what the name of it is.
Yeah, I think the lake one, now I'm thinking about it, I have experienced. Well, that's nice that there's variation to Spin the Wheel, because like I say, I've done lots, but I still haven't done it all. And there's, I think, just right off the bat, like, this is definitely one of my favorite updates for a long time. I think both of us, or maybe me more in particular, were kind of quite negative about the pit update and how I didn't really feel it was for me, and it was more aimed at that group play kind of thing. And although
I enjoyed it for what it was, but the way people were gatekeeping with it, that kind of soured me on it. Being kicked out while running to the leaving Vertibird, because I quote unquote didn't do enough. Like, come on. But for what it was, I didn't mind it. I loved the fact that it wasn't based on time, like Daily Ops was, like the rewards. But yeah, it's just, I don't like the way the community was treating other people with it. That's what got me. Yeah,
well, and we should say, because I always say like how awesome the Fallout community is, and I stand by that. But still, there's people that play the game, that aren't online, or that aren't on Twitter and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but I get it. I've come across those players before. But with this is just like far more up my street, because there feels like there's just more to do. And okay, it's not like a big story quest line thing, but events wise, so much diversity. And I found myself, although kind of getting a little bit frustrated that because those key events are random and I still hadn't got Spin the Wheel, I was like, come on, like, this is annoying. I want to play this. And I had done Most Wanted, I think, like maybe like 12 times. And I was just like, seriously, come on. And I've mentioned before how I can't sit there and play for 6 hours and just try, and my time to jump on is maybe an hour here or there in the evening, and I've got that. I basically get to experience one event, maybe if I'm lucky I might get to go round and do 2, but then I just kept getting Tunnel of Love and stuff like that. So although that sounds like a criticism, it's not, because I was so happy that felt like there was loads to do, and general presentation of it just this. At first, it was funny, actually. When I signed in, when it first updated, I was just like, okay, where the hell do I go? Like, what's... And I had to look up. I looked online. I knew it said go to the ash heap, so I did. I was walking around for like 40 minutes. I was like, what's going on? Where is it? I was like, what do I need to do? So I had to Google, look online, and it said, okay, go to where the lake is, and it's just there. And I was like, okay, great. And then when I saw it, I was like, yes, okay, now they've dropped this new location in, so much like attention to detail to the little areas inside Nuka World, and before I did any events, I was just walking around, just looking at all the little stands and everything, and yeah, I was instantly happy with this update, as like an initial
Not to mention all of the crafting stations and stash box options are there. It took me a minute to find where a cooking station was, because of course there's the daily events where you've got to eat cooked food or cook a certain amount of food. If you were curious, there's a stove behind Betty the Ghoul. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of become a new player hub where I actually have found I've run into people in the Fallout community there. I think there was one event I was going there for one of the event quests, and Cherry Pixel happened to be there, just sitting there at a bench. She, I think, was AFK because Tunnel of Love started and she didn't join in. But it's just I've run into a few people there.
I said when the pit update came that I did love that White Springs, they freshened up White Springs, and that was cool, and it became this new awesome place. But then it just sort of stopped there, and you're right, I agree with you. I've seen Nuka World on tour definitely as a new player hub. People just chilling, hanging out there. Feels much more like people are waiting around to do stuff or trading, just have fun in the Nuka-cade and stuff. I don't want to say lifeless. This is the wrong word. Now, I do love it. I love the location, and I love the new characters. They're all fun to talk to, like humorous lines. I shared that clip on Twitter of the robot. Oh God, the future predicting robot. What's her name?
I don't remember. Yeah, it's the Robo Brain.
Yeah. I'm blanking
on her name.
Either way, and she just has that line about how her predictions are right so and so % of the time, but it just gargles and like glitches when she says %, and it's like that's Fallout, and that's the Fallout humor, and you get that with the other characters as well. Just every time I go to the area, it's really, really nice. All I would say was, and here's me just being Mr. Picky as always, it would be nice if, because it's Nuka World on tour, I guess I expected or would have hoped that maybe just some more random NPCs from the map could go there and sort of visit, and you'd see them playing, because obviously it's
that'd be cool. Yeah,
it's the characters that they've put there, and then it's players, and then you think, but it'd be nice if it brought in, if you saw some of the characters from around the map travelled out for the day. It is an
attraction. Yes.
Yeah, and I think if they'd done that, like, it would have felt really sort of more bustling. But then it's sort of funny because it's also supposed to be that contrast of, it's Nuka World, it's a fairground, but it's also dilapidated and horrible. So you don't want it to be too nice and too fun. So I get that.
There's a quest to get the roller coaster up and running again because it's broken down. And I do like that you can earn credits, like the tickets from doing the arcade too,
and they're easy to get as well. You get them quickly, which I'm really grateful for.
There was one instance though where I was doing the shooting gallery, and some guy started just coming up and punching me while I was trying to shoot the ducks.
Right.
And he actually crippled me before I finished. And I just turned and I'm like, you're not baiting me into attacking back. So I started taunting the guy, just going like, come on, the arm, like, bring it on. And eventually he got frustrated and pulled out his gun and killed me. But I was just like, really?
Ridiculous.
And then there is a feature that needs ironed out where fast travel to these events sometimes doesn't work.
Oh, really?
Because I've been in other areas of the map where the event has popped up and I'll try fast traveling to it and it just won't work. So I fast travel to the area, Nuka World on tour, and then once the event gets up and running, then it'll fast travel me there. Mm-hmm. And then of course there's the naked glitch that people keep running into, which you've posted about too. That's the only reason I knew Gunther was a ghoul.
I mean, I think I could tell he was a ghoul. Like, if you look closely, you sort of see, and he has the raspy voice and that. But I was just like, I laugh. Like some people, we've said before about how Bethesda games and bugs and stuff like that, it's just like part of the course. We're used to it. It's no big deal.
Some of them are just funny.
Yeah, and that was hilarious. Because it's just there in his underwear. And and I saw a few other people had the same thing happen.
I think Lawrence from the Modus Files posted the same thing.
So that was, a good addition to the experience. But so just initially, really, really happy with this. It's given me lots to do. I've mentioned how my playing of Fallout 76 can be very intermittent. This month I played it loads thanks to this update. I love the whole aesthetic of Nuka World. I think the events are fun. I think Tunnel of Love, I know you said you did Tunnel of Love loads. I really like the Tunnel of Love event because, again, that's another big area they've put in. It's quite easy to run through. I just like the design of it. It's a good way to sort of rack up the mole miner sort of dailies as well.
Yeah.
Or, if that's on the dailies list.
And the Spin the Wheel is a good one for the Assaultrons one that popped up a few days ago.
Yep.
Because sometimes you get that, but again, that one's completely random.
Yeah.
I think Tunnel of Love takes the shortest amount of time to beat out of the three.
It's if there's other people with you, which at the moment, like, this is the other thing, you said about it being a player hub. We are like nearly a month after the events, the updates happen now. The events are still busy. Like, they're always packed, and that's really cool to see. So you can just fly through them. You're always going to have other people, because I think all of the events give you a lot of stuff, as we've said, and you get quite a lot of XP. There's loads of enemies to rip through. It's just fun shooting gallery stuff, which has been a good way to grind some points. Do you have a favourite of the events? Which one do you think? Would you say is your favourite?
Probably, I'd either say Spin the Wheel or the Wild West one.
Yeah.
In which the Wild West one is another way to get Assaultrons, because sometimes the bots are Assaultrons and not Protectrons.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that Spin the Wheel is so randomized. Again, it just kind of makes it feel fresh. And it's funny because you know how you get on social media and everybody, like, whenever Bethesda posts something, people are always just like, okay, this sucks, give us a good Fallout game, or where's Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah.
After this dropped, I actually looked at an Instagram post they did, and everybody was like, hey, great, thanks, I love this.
Yeah.
Which I was like, whoa. That just kind of shows you how much people are enjoying this, to the fact that people are actually posting positive things on social media whenever Bethesda posts something. I'd say
for a non sort of story, I know obviously there's a bit of story in there, but for a non quest line story update, this might be my favourite. I think in 76, I can't think of a better one. Really appreciate the work they've gone into, and this is, again, this dropping a new location in, this is what I want to see more of, and this is what I was with the pit and the expeditions. There was the same sort of work there, but I almost felt not missold beforehand. Like I thought we were going to larger locations and stuff, and with a bit more stuff there, where they were very dungeony, really. That's what the pit is.
You can go and explore.
Whereas this is one of those. That's what I like to do. I like to walk around those things and look at all the stuff and speak to the characters. Really,
especially
pleased.
A location that we visited in a previous game, like the pit. And again, like I think for what it was fine. And because I had, there's that one bad experience, but I've had some groups that were phenomenal with expeditions. So I think for what it was great. But this, I think this is something that I'm going to continue to do and take part in.
Yeah.
Not that I won't ever with expeditions, but that something that isn't forcing you into multiplayer if you don't want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like if it's a group of people that then great. Hey, let's knock out a daily ops and an expedition because it's on the board. That's fine, but I'm not used to playing much with other people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to a little bit more. Like if somebody invites me into a group, then great. But I rarely go out of my way to play with other people. Like I said, I'm starting to do a little bit more. Like if I see somebody I know online, I'll hop in with them. And that, that's great.
It takes far much more coordination as an adult to group up and play games together. Like, when we were at school, okay, everyone finishes at 3 p.m, get home, we jump on, we're playing games together. Here, everyone works different hours and does stuff or has commitments, and it's like to line up like more than 3 adults at the same time period is like that's a huge win. So it's difficult to do.
Sorry, I'm at work. Wait, what? It's evening. Yeah, that's when I work.
Because your hours are quite strange, and then my hours are over the place, and also you're doing extracurricular stuff as well. So we all have stuff going on in our lives. So I love. The Fallout 76 group play is like a huge part of why the game is still so successful. I'm kind of like you, I don't really do group play, but I'm perfectly happy to for everyone that does, and I think that's great that they can, because it's a huge part of why the game's working, as I say. But for me, this kind of update works for me. I don't have to force myself to play multiplayer. I can just get stuck in and reap the benefits of the events, and for a game that is grindy at times, I don't have to do all those events that have been there for 3 years. I've got these 4 new events really that have just been dropped on us that are all fun, just tear through the enemies, and really.
Have you actually taken on Mole Rat yet, or are you still needing?
I've started the quest, if you like, to get that to come out, but I've just been focusing on doing the other events really. So.
That's when somebody has to drop a nuke. For those of you who haven't played it yet, there's different ways. Like it really doesn't take that long. Like there'll be mole miners and mole rats. They'll be running around, and then the Titan will pop up, and he will spawn these like ultrasite pillars. Like he'll be invulnerable until these pillars are taken down, and they have to be taken down by melee. And then that's what makes him vulnerable. I actually posted a video on TikTok of somebody dropping a nuke into that area.
I saw that yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, well, the one I did yesterday was actually the Scorch Beast Queen.
Oh, was it? Okay. I saw
I was running around with Lawrence from the Modus Files, and I think it was Nietzsche, who's part of his group. That was actually the first of 2 back-to-back Scorch Beast Queen events that somebody did. And it's just, I thought, hey, this is coming in. I'm going to take a video of this.
Well, this is the other thing that's good about the Nuka World updates, because now I can miss things like the Scorch Beast event and re-enjoy them again, because I've been busy doing other stuff, and so that's what I like about the variety of these new events, and it's going to make me get nostalgic about you just talking about Scorch Beast Queen. Like I haven't done a Scorch Beast Queen event in months, and now I'm like, oh yeah, Scorch Beast Queen.
I don't remember the last time I had done one either, because everybody's been dropping, and it was the same with Earl. Earl, in my opinion, is even harder. That one takes. Oh man.
Cool.
But I don't remember the last time I did an Earl event either.
Any other thoughts? Because we've got a few other things we're going to talk about, but any other thoughts on Nuka World, just as an update as a whole? We've kind of touched on characters, the events, presentation. Am I forgetting anything, or any other things you want to mention?
I think it's been great. Thank you, Double 11, because I'm pretty sure they're the ones who worked on this. So Rowan from Double 11, thank all your teammates for this. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it felt like. I mentioned the funny lines from the characters and stuff. Yeah, this ticked boxes in a big way for Fallout for me. I'm really, really happy with this update. And if we're not going to get another deep story quest line like Steel Rain and Steel Dawn for a while, another one of these sort of updates will, this will really keep me happy as a player. So, big kudos for that. Cool. Well, okay. Well, this is an end of the year episode. At this rate, by the time everyone's listening to this, it might be like the 1st or 2nd of January, but either way, so start of the year episode as well. Fallout 76 in 2022. It was a fairly busy year. I'm just going to quickly go over a few stats that Bethesda put up, which are quite fun. I think we read some of these previously on the 2021. So look back at 2022. total players 13.5 million. Now, that's awesome. Again, how that number is calculated might just be somebody who played for like 30 minutes, but it means they logged into an account, so whatever. But, you know, that's a beastly number of players for a game that at the start was pretty much written off, so that's really, really nice to see. Expedition missions completed over 5 million, daily ops completed over 9 million, score earned over 204 million, Scorch Beast Queen kills over 2 million, caps spent at player shops over 48 million. You know, this goes on and on. Now, this one's quite fun actually. Top 3 food and drink items prepared. Number 1 is boiled water. It's like, of course, because I guess everything you produce for drinks wise is always going to have boiled water. Number 2 is glowing meat steak. Number 3 is mutton chops.
Really, mutton chops is one of the top ones.
Mutton chops. What do you think?
You have to kill a sheep squatch for that.
No, you can get mutton chops just by killing the dogs, like the hounds and stuff like that.
Oh, that's mutt chops.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, that's what it is. Mutt chops. Yeah. Mutt chops. See if you can get this one right. Okay, so the most popular emote. What do you think that was?
The waving?
No, it was the thumbs up. The good classic thumbs up. Nukes dropped 2,983,827. Favorite region for camps is the forest, and yeah, this is just kind of fun to see these stats put up by Bethesda. But aside from that, you know, it was a year centered around the pit, I would say. You know, we didn't get any deep story questline updates this year. We got a lot of events. What did we get? We got the test your metal stuff. We got, I'm just gonna have a look. I think I've got something noted down here. Invaders from Beyond, obviously the aliens as well, and then the pit, and of course Nuka World on tour. How do you feel, Eric, just about 2022 and 76? Again, like with this previous update, any highlights from the year for you? How did it deliver for you as a player? And yeah, any thoughts on the past year of the game?
I mean, more events is never a bad thing. I think that's the biggest thing that everybody wants, is just more to do, because eventually the storylines end and you're like, okay, now what? So yeah, more to do is definitely not a bad thing. I like the fact that the alien events are seasonal, because you just kind of get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. And that's, like I said, that's what I think is great about these Nuka World on Tour events, is that they're kind of randomized, so you're not getting the same thing all the time. And that's the same thing with the eviction notice. Was Moonshine Jamboree part of that?
Good question.
Rollout?
I can't remember.
Moonshine Jamboree is one of my favorite quests, or like events to do. That and Rad Rumble, because you get so much experience points for that. But yeah, I think that right now I'm pretty positive about this, and I can't wait to see what the normal day in April turns out to be. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I wonder if because I read that and I thought, okay, are we going to get like a kind of flashback event where, you know, I think about Fallout 4, obviously, with the intro, and then there's the dream sequence where you're sort of sent. You're in the time before the bombs, because seeing that stuff has been very limited across Fallout, and yeah, maybe a nice normal world where everything's all fine and lovely. Maybe we get a little event like that, which could be quite interesting. But I'm just speculating, obviously. But yeah, I can't wait to see what the new events are. And like I said before, I don't hate expeditions.
No.
I think that they were definitely a nice addition. And like I said, for what it is, it's fun. It's nice and the fact that there was multiple of them. I didn't want to go around doing all the events to charge your battery all the time.
Yeah.
But if somebody else wants to do that, be my guest, and then I'll hitch a ride with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this and the 3 events, like the eviction notice, test your metal, and I really think Moonshine Jamboree was part of that rollout. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but I think those have been my two favorite editions of the year. Yeah. I mean, because I think technically the aliens were added toward the end of last year.
Yeah, that might be the case. And then, did they just come back for a second time? Possibly.
Yeah, they're seasonal. They're equinox events.
Okay. But that's what I mean. That was on the sort of roadmap for this year, in a year where there wasn't the big story update, which again is fine. Like, it's totally fine. I think this year I played more Fallout 76 this year than I did last year. And a big part of that was my new character, which I made. And I'm somebody that has, I see people playing with their level 700 plus characters, and I'm just like, it's impressive. Unfortunately, I'm nowhere near those players. I still, for a long time, just had the character I had from day one. But this year, I was like, I think this was before the pit came out. I was feeling a little bit burnt out with the game, and I hadn't played. I was like, how can I freshen this up? And I started fresh, a new character, and man, like, if you haven't played 76 yet, there's just never a better time to get in than now. I think I've said that before, because again, all the stuff that's been added, and starting with that fresh character and having, what's the way? Is it the Wayward? Yeah, having that there to go at the start that wasn't there originally. Yeah. That makes starting fresh so much more enjoyable. And I, leveled up my new character fairly quickly, so that got me playing a lot. The events wise, I didn't get to play everything, and I've said before how I get the way that the events are tied to top of the hour and stuff, but I kept missing out on things, and I couldn't sync everything up to play everything. So I didn't experience everything the game had to offer in the past year, but I did most of it. And I mentioned, the year was focused around the pit. There was a lot of hype towards that. It didn't land for me in terms of what I want as a player experience, because I'm very much a solo player. But I said at the time in our review that I loved, the work that went into it. I could see it was a big deal, and a lot of thought had gone into it. But there's no question that the Nuka World update it's come right at the end of the year, and it's rejuvenated my love for 76. I was looking at the website today before we were recording, like, what's coming, and we don't have a big roadmap yet for next year. We have the first few months, but what I will say is, as somebody who just over a year ago thought that I wasn't sure where Fallout 76 was going and if it was going to dry up, I think this past year has completely turned that around for me. It's clear that the updates are being pumped out, and in a good way, and all these players that are coming back on board, and it's still a very healthy game, and the possibility of adding new stuff, I will happily play Fallout 76 for years ahead. And this idea of this 5-year plan that we heard rumours of, I think maybe at the start of this year, great. Like, I'm on board. Like, I'm so intrigued to see what's coming, because I think as a year, it was up and down for me as a player, but definitely it's finished on a high, I would say.
So if you're one of the people who have just kind of been anti Fallout 76, it did have a really shaky rollout. Sure. But it is interesting if you look at how it was up until how it is now. If you're playing in game, it's been 2 years since Fallout 76 opened, and it is kind of cool to look at it like that. Like, the world in the game has changed year to year.
Yeah.
Because according to the story, it has been 2 years or so since you first left the vault. But it's just it's an example of why publishers, studios need to make sure that the game has a successful launch. Just because people's first impressions stick with them.
Yeah.
So it's like you see, and I think that, with the example of Cyberpunk, that had a really shaky launch too, and people are still saying the game is trash when they've ironed all that shit out.
Yeah.
And it's it's not a completely different game from how it started out, kind of like how Fallout 76 is, for the most part, a completely different game from how it launched. But the Edge Runners TV show saw such an influx of people going back and playing Cyberpunk again or playing it for the first time. And I think hopefully this TV show will do the same thing for Fallout 76 because, yeah, the game is nothing like it was when it first rolled out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it might be hard for some people to hear, but Fallout 76 is a popular game. It's played by a very healthy community of players. I think if it wasn't, we wouldn't be seeing the substantial updates that we're seeing. So, yeah, if you have even a slight interest in Fallout, please do go check it out. Don't let the first impressions of that launch. It's so long ago now as well. Like, it feels that's just like a bad memory.
Watch the documentary that came out not too long ago about the Fallout 76 player community.
Yeah. Yeah, and we could do a whole episode about the community itself, and maybe we should, because it's one of the best out there. But yeah, really an up and down year for me personally with the game, but definitely finished on a high. As I said, very, very excited, which brings me to our sort of final point of the episode, looking ahead to 2023. I touched on how obviously we don't have a big roadmap yet, but I would love to see. I would love to see a big new story quest line. I don't know. I know it's a lot to ask because there's so much that goes into obviously, the scripting and the character lines and stuff like that. So my hope is, because it's been such a while since Steel Dawn, that in the background, the next quest line thing the story stuff has been being worked on, and they've used 2022 to pump out the sort of the events focused stuff. We had the new devs brought on board to help with that, and we should see. You're signaling to someone.
My cat keeps screaming at me in the background. I muted my mic so you couldn't hear him. Come here.
It would not be an episode with Eric without one of the pets, so that's cool. What was I saying? I just wanted to check everything was okay. I was like,
sorry. I'm surprised you didn't hear him up until now.
But so looking ahead, I hope we're going to get a 2023 story update, because it's what keeps me playing. I was speaking to somebody the other day that was like, list your 5 things that keep you playing Fallout 76, and it was like characters, exploration, and story were like right up there. Customization was there too, which obviously I think is awesome. But yes, also 2023 we have the TV show. I think we do. I don't think we've got a premiere date yet. I think
I don't think we have. We've just seen little screenshots here.
We can assume it's going to premiere in 2023, which is obviously, that's a big deal. And, here on the podcast, we're going to be deep diving into that show, and I can't wait for that. But how about you, Eric? What are you thinking about 2023? What would you like to see more of? Do you have any thoughts on the TV show?
I think maybe if Fallout did something like what ESO does, where each year there is an overarching story. I think they're going to be changing that for the next event, next year. But still, if they had some sort of formula like that, where each year they add a story that encompasses that entire year. Maybe, I don't know, because I think technically ESO is done by ZeniMax, but I think that would be fun. So where each year you have something to, that they'll announce the story before the previous year is over. Well, maybe not, but sometime in the early on in the year they will announce what the story is going to be. Here's what we're looking at. Maybe they kind of did with The Pit and Nuka World on Tour, but it didn't encompass the entire year. So, but they'll roll out little things here, here's part of the story, here's a zone to explore, here's the finale for the story. I don't know.
My wishful thinking, right? And my biggest wishful thinking would be, maybe it will tie into the TV show. I mean,
I hope so.
We haven't had the story update this past year. Maybe that's because they've been getting all their ducks in a row. That TV show launch, if they ever wanted, you mentioned Edge Runners. We've mentioned it before on the podcast as well. When that TV show launches, if there's not something going on in 76, I'm going to be very frustrated. And
missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah, so we could be seeing maybe a character that's featured in just something as simple as that. A character
more than just a clothing piece that Edge Runners did for Cyberpunk.
Exactly. Like, say, so I think there's been rumours that Walton Goggins is possibly playing a ghoul in the show.
Yeah.
Get him in to be a character in the game. Get him to voice some lines as well. That would just make me so happy. It's so fun. It doesn't need to be anything substantial. I don't need a 20-hour quest line to tie in with the show, but something, And I think if that story stuff ties into the show, that's going to be a big win for Fallout 76.
Well, they announced him pretty early too, like long before like anything else was really released about the show.
Yeah.
Those set pics, there were quite a few that leaked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that that has to be a given, right?
Yeah.
Where they include something from the show.
We've mentioned it before that they should do crossover in some way, but yeah, maybe my wishful thinking is it's a bigger one than we're even expecting, and maybe that's why we don't have this big roadmap yet. They're still figuring out how they're going to make this work, but they've had plenty of dev time, so they've got Xbox's money behind them. Why not just go all out, make this a huge deal? And Amazon are obviously doing the show. They're going to be invested in how well the show does. I think this is the first video game TV show Amazon have done. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any more, because there's been tons in the past couple of years.
They're working on others, but yeah.
I think they're doing BioShock as well. I think that's at Amazon. It's not going to be out this year. It's probably another year away.
I was thinking of Last of Us.
Well, that's been done by HBO. So this is But my point is,
or is it Silent Hill? I swear there was another one that Amazon was working on.
I don't know. Silent Hill is doing something. They're doing a movie, but I don't think that's. It might be Amazon. Yeah, you might be right. But either way, it's almost like this is them stepping into a new sort of world. They're going to be spending a lot of money on this TV show, and they want it to work. All these services now, they take their products generally very seriously. So they'll be looking at the game like, right, what can we do to make this the biggest gaming TV show of the year? So yeah, I'm excited. I think 2023 might be a big year for Fallout. We're obviously not getting a new game, but Fallout 76 is healthy. We've got a show on the way, and who knows what else. So yeah, I'm excited. Just to repeat myself and underline it, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm really excited to see what the new year brings with it.
Anything else? Because we're going to be... there's tons of episodes we're always talking about doing, and I want us to keep the momentum going with this podcast as much as possible. Both of us, we're always doing other stuff as well, so it's always hard to line stuff up. But anything else to say as we wrap up today for the year?
As of right now, Fallout for Hope is still going on.
It is.
I think it's got about another week.
Yeah.
So if I haven't unfortunately been able to contribute as much as I would like. I guess this is part of my contribution for that. If you haven't checked it out yet, they put on a Fallout Christmas story.
Yeah.
I think that might still be on Kenneth Vigue's Twitch. I actually was listening to it live while it was going on. It was wonderful as always. I know he's also been doing repeat of his Christmas Carol performance, like he's put that on his Twitch channel. But yeah, it's all to benefit St. Jude's Children's Hospital, so please donate if you were able to. I know this year's been rough for a lot of people, myself included. So yeah, just if you were able to, the the doors are still open to donate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's got about a week left.
Yeah, I'll put links in the podcast and stuff like that, because just huge credit to all the creators that do stuff for it. And I've said before, on the previous episode we did, or the one before, like, I always feel so bad because there's so much I want to do, and it's, time is always an issue, but I do whatever I can to spread the word as well, and share stuff on Twitter, because the work that everybody does for it is just kind of unbelievable, to be honest. It puts other fandoms to shame. I mean, there's no way about it. The work is incredible, but yeah, I feel like that's a positive end really for this year, for 76 and Fallout in general. So much cool stuff to look forward to. Hopefully we can try and game some more and do some of this group stuff on 76 ourselves, but as I mentioned, adult life is difficult to line up. But yes, always
time zone difference also.
I know. Always awesome to talk to you though, mate. Definitely. And we'll catch up again soon. Thank you to everybody for listening. Please, if you like the podcast, give us a review, give us a rating on Spotify, whatever you can do. And yeah, you might be watching this on YouTube. It's going to be difficult to put every episode on YouTube because some of them are very separate and broken up. But whenever me and Eric are doing these chats now, we're going to get these video versions up for you. And yeah, anything else that we can try and get on there. So please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, we'll do our best to keep bringing you some Fallout fan content. Anything else, Eric, before we sign off?
No, just check out the other shows that we have going on. I've got Tamriel Adventures, my Elder Scrolls Lore podcast at Nintendo, and I have been a regular character on the Modus Files these past few episodes. So shout out to Lawrence and everybody at Modus Files. So
absolutely. Yeah, again, I'll put links for all that in the description. But thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Hope you all had a happy new year. And stay safe out there, Wanderers.